In this video, we're going to take a look at what changed Elvis. And just to be clear right up front, I'm in no way interested in trying to defame or defend anything about Elvis's history. I understand there's a few parts of his history that are problematic, and I'm going to mention those, but I'm not going to take a stand one way or the other on some topics. I'm more interested in the story of what happened in Elvis's personal life that made him change. This video is patron supported. Please consider joining my Patreon at $1, $3, or $5 per month. It goes a long way to helping support videos like this and everything else I do on my channel. And there are many exclusive videos that feature original and cover music performances and things like that. Any ads you might see on this video do not help as much as Patreon, so please consider that. Thanks. To begin, let's take a look at how things got started. A big part of why I thought of this topic is the movie Walk the Line, the biopic on Johnny Cash. There's a scene where Cash encounters some peer pressure whenever he's hanging out with some other performers. And that got me thinking of performers in different eras and some of the vices that they had and things like that. But then I started to think a lot more about Elvis. I was born to much older parents, and my parents remember seeing Elvis on the Dorsey Brothers show, which is before Ed Sullivan, a little trivia fact there. And my dad will tell me today how he remembers that my mom said, "Hey, you need to come see this guy on TV. This is something brand new." And hearing stories like that, and the general nostalgia with the 1950s, was always interesting to me. In addition, growing up seeing Elvis movies when I was a little kid and then remembering hearing on the news that he passed away, those are events I remember, and that was a part of my childhood. So let's get started probing this question of what changed Elvis. Let's take a look at the impact that Elvis had. To sum up Elvis Presley's impact on world culture, he changed it. Here in the States, we have a long, unfortunate history with racism. And Elvis borrowing music and bringing music from one racial culture to another led to a lot of changes. And many people of the two main races involved in a situation didn't like that he did that, and that led to a lot of early controversy. And please know I'm trying to describe that in the most delicate and sensitive way possible. In addition to the racial aspects of the music Elvis played, there were other things that caused controversy early on. But again, to sum up, Elvis changed culture. As Elvis's career got started, the fame he received was completely unexpected. And as quickly as he gained fame, he gained criticism. People thought he was a bad influence on young people. People thought that the music he played and his performances didn't have much merit. And he was even facing possible legal situations from performing. But tying this back into Elvis's impact, you can look at his use of music as a way leading to integration. And also it gave young people, teenagers, a sense of identity, a sense of expression that they didn't really have before. Now looking at how Elvis changed from 1950s to 1970s, and things like his legendary eating habits, you gotta wonder, what happened? Where did this change come from? Now, an obvious factor in what changed Elvis is fame. Since the 1950s, we've seen countless celebrities, both in music and film and the entertainment industry, change because of receiving fame. But let's take a look at Elvis's personal life and see if there were factors that maybe could have enhanced any of the stresses or other issues that come along with fame. Elvis was born in 1935, and his parents were poor, they were working class, and back in the 30s in the United States, it was very common to move around depending on where you could get work. Both of my parents are from that era, and I've heard many stories. Growing up, Elvis was especially close with his mother, Gladys. When he was 11, he received his first guitar. Elvis graduated high school in 1953, started working jobs, and trying to pursue his musical career. He started performing and recording and released his first single, That's All Right, in 1954. Between 1954 and 1956, Elvis's fame and career exploded and he was an international sensation in a very short amount of time. Which leads more pointedly at the question, when did Elvis change? I think of that scene that inspired this whole topic, where Johnny Cash is hanging out with Elvis and some other performers, and there's some peer pressure involved, some bad things come up. And that scene supposedly takes place right around 1956. And as something that we all know now, when people abuse substances, they change too. But often they're abusing substances for some other underlying reason. So let's look a little deeper at what was going on in Elvis's personal life. Looking at Elvis's personal life, you can see a big turning point happen when he was in the Army. His mother passed away, and being close to his mother and losing a parent, those are some very heavy issues to deal with. Around that same time, he met his future wife Priscilla and they started dating, and then later married in 1967. Now, during the time they were together, Elvis's career had some ups and downs, and he struggled a little bit in the early 60s and then made his comeback TV special appearance in 1968. Moving into the 1970s, you can see Elvis's appearance start to change, and you see some of the effects of substances and an unhealthy lifestyle start to become very obvious on observation. And around that time, Elvis's marriage was falling apart too, and that is a very stressful situation as well. And now let's summarize and conclude. When doing research for this video, it's hard for me to pinpoint, exact things because, when someone starts abusing a substance, that is really difficult to know exactly when, that started and things like that. So this summary has a little speculation to it. But let me start off and say, there's a reason why we joke about the rock and roll lifestyle when looking at people from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and actually into the 90s. Unfortunately, in entertainment, there's a lot of temptation for different things. You want to keep going, you want to stay up a little bit later. There's all kinds of factors that make it easy to make some really bad choices. Looking at Elvis's personal life, the trauma of losing his mom seemed to be one of the biggest issues and what caused him to change. Knowing that he started his relationship with Priscilla after his mother passed, you could imagine that he was still dealing with some of those stresses of losing his mom and trying to process that loss, and that could have had an impact with substances and things that led to that relationship falling apart. And perhaps the biggest point of speculation here, when you are heavily criticized, saying that you are causing all this bad stuff to happen, you are racist, you're stealing from a culture, you're just destroying the youth of the planet, that would not be an easy thing for anyone to hear. And knowing that Elvis had a close circle of people around him to help protect him and help him feel comfortable, you can see some of the reasoning for that. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you very much, because I know most people don't watch videos longer than a couple minutes. But I did want to say I was trying to be very fair and neutral in looking at Elvis's history and his personal life and things like that. And if there's a lesson to be learned there, is we're all human. We're all susceptible to pressures and traumas and stresses. It doesn't necessarily make bad choices okay, but it does explain them. This may be the last video in this music question series. I've been trying to determine if the series is worthwhile keeping up because I like doing it. I always learn a whole lot about whatever topic I'm researching. So let me know in the comments what you think. I have some other ideas for topics for my channel that are original content and things like that. So let me know what you think about this series. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.